how you doing? Woo! Welcome to the PHLY Flyers postgame show. My name is Bill Matz, and we are celebrating our first victory with the Flyers championship belt. They start on this Disney on Ice road trip. They're out in Disneyland, and they win the game 3-1. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games. Joining me on the PHLY Flyers postgame show, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Joining me here at Heroes for our live postgame show, it is Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, and Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle. The belt is 1-0, fam.
The belt is 1-0.
We have done it. It
undefeated
is
in the belt era.
Oddly heavy.
The best thing is that if now the Flyers go on a long winning streak or like completely turn their season around, we can take full credit for it.
We did it.
The belt.
It's PHLY did it by buying the belt for our show, and most notably me. Here we are. We are at Heroes in Glen Mills for our live post-game show. Flyers win 3-1 to start out the Disney on Ice trip. Nice little break after that, like I said in the pregame, drubbing they took in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's rebuilding team versus rebuilding team, and this was my biggest takeaway from this game. Flyers are the better coach team. I thought it was very apparent in the first period especially. Like, the plan in the neutral zone, it didn't seem as if the Ducks had one. And whenever it was just 5-on-5 out there, it was like they had nowhere to go with the puck, and the Flyers were breaking in and out pretty, not easily, but they were doing it in a structured form. And I thought it really maybe exemplified itself also in the third on the Joel Farabee empty net game icing goal. Ducks are on the power play. They have their net empty. No communication. Doesn't seem like they have any idea that Farabee's coming out of the box. And all of a sudden, puck comes back to the point. Farabee's right there, makes a little hit, steals the puck, goes the other way, ices the game 3-1 with the empty netter. That was my biggest takeaway.
There absolutely should have been more awareness on the part of the Anaheim Ducks, knowing that penalty is about to expire, knowing that Joel Farabee is going to be coming from behind. You need to give your player, ideally your player is more aware, but the guys on the bench have nothing to do but yell, hey, the penalty, just start yelling. Right. That is the sign of a team that isn't incredibly well coached. It's also a very young team in Anaheim. They're doing it differently. Now, trading for Jacob Trouba did hint that they are trying to go let's get the veteran leadership guys to help steer the ship. But the Ducks are very much more going the route of let's tank and hand the team over to the kids. Maybe that'll work out. We shall see.
We will.
But I will say that in this single game, if you're evaluating why the Flyers won and the Ducks didn't, I do think a lot of it was the fact that the Flyers are trying to be competitive, whereas the Ducks are hoping to be competitive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought that was very much on display. And, we'll see. When I see these two teams and obviously we'll get into Michkov and Cutter and all that stuff, but it's two teams going different routes. And while I do have my qualms, issues with the way the Flyers are doing this alleged rebuild, I do think that the core having a base, it's a cliche to say, but a standard, it's just one less thing they have to learn along the way. Whether it's just the way we play, a system we play, whatever it is, it does when they go head-to-head, I think you see it and go, one of these teams is further along. And it makes sense. We have a lot of 24 to 27-year-olds, those age guys, 28-ish, and they don't. And you should win those games. Honestly, the Flyers are, while not a quote-unquote good team, better than those teams. And it shows itself. But I think not so much in talent today as it did in game plan and just preparedness, I guess.
I do think there is something, we collectively, I think, have made fun of the whole culture thing a lot because they make such a big deal out of it. And it seems like such an amorphous thing to people outside of the locker room. But I do think when you look at a team like the Rangers, when you look at this team, Anaheim, when you look at Chicago, there maybe is something to the idea that breaking your team down to be absolutely terrible might not be great I mean, obviously the Rangers are a different situation. They haven't broken their team down to be terrible, but obviously there's like a culture situation in New York. But something about keeping that winning mentality, winning even if you know you're not going to be that good, is probably a better idea than just going full tank.
Okay, so fair. But now we get to the thing that the fan base is particularly frustrated with about this game, which is the fact that Matvei Michkov, the guy who is supposed to be the one to pull the Flyers out of mediocrity and into contention, does not get a single shift in the third period. And this is where we get the flip side of the culture and trying to contend thing, because there are, and I'm seeing a bunch of them in my mentions, that don't care about anything about this game other than the fact that Matvei Michkov was benched for the third.
Well, I think those two things are separate, honestly. Like,
they are and they aren't.
I understand what you're saying, and that they aren't. But I do believe that this John Tortorella issue, and this is like I think a very clear John Tortorella problem, has less to do with the idea that organizationally we're not tearing it down and we're not trying to lose. Tortorella has this idea that teaching involves punitive, like, reward? That's not how that works.
Punishment.
I'll take that.
He believes that the healthy scratch is a tool.
Like, this is how
he hasn't
you
been
teach.
scratched, but he was benched. The benching, the scratchings, they are tools to help guys
He'll probably
get
be scratched
better.
tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if he's scratched tomorrow.
Would not shock me. Matvei Michkov tonight played 9:01 time on ice. He had one shot on goal. He came off the ice with 28 seconds left in the second period and never stepped on the ice again.
No, he was benched for the entire third period. And it was clear that was intentional, because there have been times where he will bench Michkov sort of, but still use him on the power play.
On the power play.
Yes. Where
it's kind of your line, and you're just kind of lost in the shuffle.
And that happens. Sometimes a line isn't working, and you fall down the rotation in a game, but he would still get him out there for the power play. This game, he does not get him out there for the power play, hinting that this was not just you're one of our, you're my 11th or 12th most effective forward in this particular game, so you're down far on the bench. This was there's a reason I'm benching you, and you know why.
Only Garnet Hathaway played less. He played 8:25, Michkov 9:01. That's the only Flyer with fewer minutes than Mish. And that's the, big picture. I look at this game and go, Flyers are just the better coach team. And then you look at the micro, and after complimenting the coaching, and this is something we're all just going to have to deal with, I guess, because this is the way John Tortorella does it. And as far as we know, there's been no signs otherwise. Danny Briere, Keith Jones, whoever are in lockstep, or at least understand this is what he does, and we all have to deal with it. After watching, today's a perfect example. Watching the way it went with Cutter, one, don't want to piss him off. We're going to have to sign him to a contract at some point. That's, down the road stuff. In the here and now, I just think, man, he's not playing great, and you know how great players get out of slumps? Playing themselves out of it. There's nothing to be gained by him not playing the third period of a game against a team that isn't as good as the Flyers.
Right.
Matvei Michkov can score at any time on any shift.
Yes.
Is he playing well right now? No. No one is arguing that.
No.
It's that he can have one shift, one moment on a shift that went wrong. And suddenly the puck is on his stick and he has a chance to score, and he does, and now he is on a 10-game point streak again. That is possible with a player of his ilk. And not playing him isn't giving him proper opportunity to break out of whatever is the problem.
No. And this is why I do think, and we should probably save this for a regular show, I do think that we've kind of reached almost a tipping point where I'm not sure at this point if John Tortorella is now serving the rebuild. There was a point, last season, when we're building the culture, when we're establishing the standard, when we're doing all of that stuff, I can get it. I understand what he's doing. But with a player like Michkov, I just don't think, like Bill said, I don't see a downside to playing him. Like, I just don't think that he's bad enough that he's going to actively hurt you in many situations. And also, he's good enough that at any point, like Bill said, any point he could turn it around. And the only way he's going to do that is playing his way out of it. I don't think that he's going to get out of this funk sitting on the bench.
Yeah, look, I think really what it boils down to here is that this is the John Tortorella experience.
Yes.
This is what he does. And the question is, do you trust his overarching ability to coach and develop enough that you're willing to say, this is just part of the experience, and even if this particular one thing on the micro level annoys me, that I still think that on the macro level, John Tortorella's tutelage will help Michkov become a better player? That's the question I think everybody has to ask themselves when they're evaluating this, because in the here and now, it's frustrating. People want to see Matvei Michkov play. They do, because he's the fun, young, talented player who is supposed to be the savior of the organization and has the highest upside to become a potential superstar. That is what, understandably, people are feeling right now.
Right.
To me, you have to take a step back here as a fan and ask yourself which side you're actually on. And I'm not talking about whether you're in favor of it or not, because I think there are very few people in the fan base that actually like the fact.
No one thinks this is good.
Yes, but here's the question you got to ask yourself. Are you mad at this because you right now really want to watch Matvei Michkov play? And because it increases your enjoyment level of watching the Flyers play hockey to have Matvei Michkov in the lineup and not being benched and playing for 60 minutes of every game? Is that why you're mad? Or are you mad because you think this is actually going to either hurt him or provide no actual benefit? If you're on the latter side, then be angry and call for John Tortorella's head and say that he's not the right guy. If you're on the former side, like, be angry now, but just admit to yourself that this is just a short-term anger, that you're annoyed that you didn't get to watch the fun Russian play the third period.
I ultimately don't think it hurts him in terms of his long-term development, what he is when he's 24 years old, and we need him to be, at the very least, a perennial all-star, you know? But, like, hopefully a 100-point player, best guy on the team. Like, I don't think it hurts him in that regard.
Do you think it helps him?
I don't see a tangible benefit other than, are you mad? Good. Play your way back into the lineup. And it's like, but how?
Like, that can't be your only...
And this is a thing we yelled about with Dave Hackstall all the time.
Yeah.
This seems to be your only course.
Right.
Like, your only course of...
I don't... With Hack, maybe, because I don't get the sense that there was a lot there beyond...
Well, yeah.
Beyond the punitive stuff.
Sure.
It's this thing with Torts is the
I know Torts is a good coach.
This is the only thing that we get to see.
Yes.
So you can say, well, it seems like it's the only thing he does.
That's fair.
Well, it's the only thing that we get to see because the other stuff is behind closed doors.
We aren't in the video sessions.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what that, because it was when he got the healthy scratches.
Yeah.
It was a very specific thing that they told him, like, learn how to do this. You don't seem to be picking up what we're telling you to do. And it was like a very specific thing. When you're the third forward, D-man pinches, you have to cover.
Yeah.
All right. And honestly, I think that was a message to the whole team, because I have seen ever since then, like, for the most part, a concerted effort. Like, maybe two guys all of a sudden, like, they
haven't been perfect, and they've been a lot better than they were the first month and a half of the year.
They're not a very good team. Of course, they haven't been, but, like, I do think there's been an effort, and it was like a team-wide learning experience, and they scratched him. Yeah, he wasn't doing it. And make an example out of him. Hey, we'll scratch him, not just, not going to just be Morgan Frost, because who cares? We know you love scratching Morgan Frost. It's one of your hobbies.
Yeah, right.
But, like,
it's literally one of your favorite pastimes.
You did it to Michkov, who, like, the praises you sang of him even before he joined the team. Okay, you'll scratch this guy. But now it's, part of it is I'm a fan, and listen, we have people here, like, half the people here in PHLY gear are in Michkov shirts or in Michkov jerseys. He is, as I've said all season, the main character.
Yeah.
But also, damn it, let him play.
Yeah.
Let him make his mistakes and then learn from them. And maybe that's what they've done during these games of his slump. But I just don't see an actual benefit. Do I think it hurts? No.
Yeah.
But do I see a benefit? I don't.
Exactly.
I don't see how a very good player not playing benefits that player.
And that's why I think I'm getting to the point where I feel like what this organization can get from John Tortorella has been gotten. And we've talked about since he was hired that we don't really think he's the coach to coach this team, A, when they're good.
He ain't here when they make the playoffs.
And B, like, I think when the young, good players are here.
I also just think it's an age thing. He's old.
Well, that's
He's not going to be coaching until he's in his mid-70s.
But the real problem is the Flyers aren't going to remove him from the bench. So it has to be a Torts decision.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that.
You don't think so?
I think that if the Flyers' brain trust makes a decision that they believe it's time, they would have a conversation with
about
John
moving
Tortorella.
him up. Okay.
I don't think let me put it this way. I don't think they're going to fire him.
No.
Unless something crazy happens
him
behind closed doors
upstairs. I feel like we've hit maximum return from John Tortorella. He's done a great job establishing a standard. He's done a great job getting this team to have a really great, what seems to be a great culture. The guys really like each other. The locker room seems good. They have great work ethic. All of that kind of stuff. He's done that. Great. I don't know if I trust him to be the guy developing Michkov and Jet. I'm just not there, because if this is the tool that you're going to use every single time on both of them, I don't think it serves either of them. And I'm with you, Bill. I don't think it actively hurts them, but it's not going to make them any better. Playing will make them better.
What I can tell you is, and this is really all I can say. This isn't even me defending it. This is just me saying John Tortorella disagrees.
I know
John Tortorella believes
of
that this method will benefit Michkov 3-4 years down the line. He will be a better player over the long term for getting the tough love. The thing is that from both ends, from your end and from Torts' end, there's no way to prove it.
No.
There's no way to prove, even 4 years down the line, if Michkov is one of the 3 best players in hockey, as people obviously hope he's going to be, there's no way to prove that it was the fact that he had John Tortorella as his coach as a rookie that caused that to happen. Maybe it was going to happen anyway.
Right.
But there's no way to prove one way or the other, so it's just something to debate about.
Like, if he hits his ceiling, maybe it was Torts, and also maybe, listen, prior to that draft and prior to geopolitical issues and also pre-draft meetings where he kind of forced himself to fall, it was the Bedard-Michkov draft, and it was a lot closer than, well, this guy fell to 7, there's reasons, but Bedard obviously number 1. Like, it was closer than that.
It was a legitimate debate
like in that
for
U18s,
a lot of those early years.
When they met Bedard a couple of weeks ago, like, in those U18s, Bedard won gold, and Michkov was tournament MVP.
Yep,
you know, like,
points,
those things happen.
More dominant.
Those things happen. All right, before we go any further with the show, speaking of Mish, Bet365, I got to tell you about our friends at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. John Tortorella certainly makes sure it's never ordinary, even just a little ordinary 3-1 win for the Flyers. Listen, today we had a Mish anytime goal, didn't pay off. We also had a Cutter anytime goal. He was nowhere to be found tonight. I don't even know.
A lot of big talk from somebody pregame
there. There was a play where, we just got a tweet like, oh, those circles he was talking about, all the zeros in his all the zeros in his scorebook.
He drew a lot of zeros in this game.
I have been making all my bets and losing quite a few of them with the Bet365 sportsbook. I think you'll love it. It's the early payouts. It's the pioneers of live in-game betting. All the props, all the parlays, whatever you want. So download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And while we're here, you got to get to your local Rite Aid, fam. That's right. Help protect yourself and those around you from pneumonia. Adults aged 50 and older now eligible for the pneumonia vaccine. Millions of people get pneumonia every year. It's a respiratory illness, and this time of year, winter, It's when the germs that cause respiratory disease spread most in the community. So now's the time to get the pneumonia vaccine to keep yourself healthy. Some people, it's mild symptoms, not that big a deal. Others have very serious complications, and the vaccine is one of the best ways to keep yourself healthy. And it's usually no cost with insurance. Getting vaccinated is easy. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. And if you're unsure of what vaccines you may need, just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. Stop by Rite Aid today. Yeah, obviously Misha's going to be the story. There's a lot that happened in this game that I do want to get to, despite it kind of being it did come down to an empty net situation, but one of the less dramatic Flyers.
It wasn't a terribly eventful game.
It was not.
But there were some things, but Michkov is the main story.
It's the main story.
He's the main character of the season, I've said time and time again, and we have an actual thing that happened.
Yeah, and Kevin Kerr has confirmed, because he's on this trip, that Tortorella said that it was a coach's decision to sit Michkov. He was not banged up.
Anything. Okay.
Which we assumed.
But we did. When you just don't play the third period and you didn't really see anything
and he was on the bench.
He was.
You could see him on the bench during stoppages.
He did make one play in the game, Michkov did. Was very happy to see it.
Drew a penalty.
Beats, hustles around Cutter Gauthier, draws a hook, beats him to a puck in the corner, puts the Flyers on the power play, of course.
Indeed.
You know, what does that really mean, this team being on the power play? But he did make that happen, so, okay, head-to-head, he made something happen, and Cutter didn't, so that's nice. But I also saw Kevin Kerrs, and we talked about it right away, like, he surmised that perhaps tomorrow, back-to-backs, they're in L.A. tomorrow, I believe.
They are. So same, Anaheim, L.A., basically the same city.
25 minutes,
Are they that close?
They're very close, I mean, everything in LA is so spread out.
A huge.
So, like, it's far-ish, but Anaheim is functionally LA.
Everything's
just
far
one big
away
suburb. Do you think we see Michkov in a suit tomorrow?
I think I'm going into tomorrow assuming that he's scratched. Yeah, for Lycksell.
It is here. Yeah, it is very similar to the last time he was scratched.
Yep.
In a lot of ways. Number one, if you remember, the Carolina game, which was the game right before the first scratching, same deal. Michkov got benched for a large portion of the third period, didn't go out there for a power play. So that was the lead into the scratch. Also, and I don't think you can discount this as being an important factor, it's on the road. I think the Flyers are more willing to let Tortorella do whatever the heck he wants with Michkov when they're on the road versus when they would be scratching him in front of a home crowd that they've had the entire marketing department and ticket service department calling people since the middle of the summer saying, buy tickets because we have Michkov, he's here. I do think that is a point where people in the organization may say to Tortorella, wait till we're on the road, then scratch him. They're already on the road. So, and in both situations, Michkov was struggling a bit. I mean, right now, I'd say Michkov is struggling worse now than he was struggling leading into the first scratch. Because at least then he was putting up some points, he was making some plays. Then he was probably making more mistakes. This time, I think he's making fewer obvious mistakes. He's just not been impactful. And clearly, I guess there was something that happened tonight that, annoyed Tortorella enough to sit him. So he must have made some mistake. But I think back then he was making more. It smells very similar. It's a very similar situation. The past track record tells us Michkov will be scratched. Will he do it? I don't know. It's John Tortorella. I've given up trying to put myself in the mind of that man. But it does seem like this would be a time when he would scratch him, knowing what we know about how John Tortorella operates.
What if in between today and tomorrow's game, Matvei Michkov shaves his head?
Ooh,
because we've seen that solves problems.
I thought you were going to say, like, what if he goes into his office and
he's got to shave his head.
Has taught himself enough English to scream at Tortorella
scream at John
in English?
Tortorella.
Would that be enough? Maybe.
I hope so.
Take your shirt off, slap him.
You obviously have to take your shirt off. Shave your head in front of him.
Shave your head in front of him, like American History X style.
Exactly.
Just like,
God.
Stare John in shave your head. He has a nice head of hair, though. I don't know if I need to see
It'll
him.
grow back.
It will.
Sacrifices have to be made, William.
Cutter Gauthier, since we're talking about these two guys, Cutter played 13-19 tonight.
I'm going to be so annoying on the 11th.
Oh, it's
Have those tickets been sold yet? You better buy those tickets.
Yeah, there's two tickets left. And honestly, just for how Hinkle's
going
going
to be
act.
on one at that game.
There's 2 tickets left for our watch party. It's a suite takeover at the Wells Fargo Center. We have a suite. Everyone's going to be there, including everyone you see at this table right now. It's going to be a ton of fun. Cutter comes to Philly for the very first time. He got some booze every time there was a contingent of Flyers fans.
You think he circled it on his calendar?
I hope he did.
Circle it in red, you little shit.
There was a contingent of Flyers fans at the game tonight. There were boos every time he touched the puck. I expect that to be considerably louder when he's in South Philly.
If you were one of those Flyers fans in Anaheim, thank you for your service.
Yes.
I appreciate you a lot.
Cutter, 13-19, 2 shots on goal, no points, +1. Whatever. It's not as if he really stood out.
He was a non-entity in this game, I felt like.
Some dudes on there noticed Troy Terry.
Troy Terry obviously
he had
good.
a nice shot.
I think Mason McTavish. There was a couple of guys.
He made some plays
who stood out, even though the Ducks didn't really do much tonight.
Leo Carlson flashed a couple times. Brett Leeson even. I noticed him a few times.
Gudis, a few nice hits.
Cutter, I had to, and this is as insulting as I can get. Like, there were a few times where I had to
look for him
to be like, where is number 61? Yeah. Because he was so inconsequential to the play.
Yep.
And
he's a nothing. He's a nobody.
I expect him to turn out. I do wonder, knowing all we know now, obviously they shouldn't have drafted him at 5.
I'm sure he'll be a very serviceable third-line winger.
I think he scores a bunch of goals in this league. What else he does, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, even if he was doing this for us, because obviously we have a built-in, screw that guy. Good, I hope he sucks. But if he was doing this for us, it would be, what is everyone who was drafted around him doing? Was this the pick here?
Well, given the guy that they picked him over has already gotten traded by his team in Juracek, I think people might be a little bit more willing to cut him some slack. But I totally agree that there would be a large contingent of people on social media already calling him a bust.
Because you were one of those people who was like, listen, he's good, but I don't want him at 5. I picked him at 5. He was my guy simply because his name was Cutter, and I wanted to be able to do diamond cutter stuff because I'm a wrestling nerd. But
love that.
Listen, I'm not gonna. We can't sit here and gloat because not only didn't Michkov do anything, he didn't play for a third of the game.
And Gauthier's 20 years old.
Yes.
I do think he is going to develop. There's enough positive things in his, number 1, his just raw skill set. Number 2, even his stats. Guys who shoot the puck as much as he does and get shots off tend to eventually become pretty good goal scorers because eventually you learn how to finish off of NHL goalies. It tends to happen. That said, it is reasonable to point out that thus far, to this point, he has not been a terribly impactful NHL rookie, especially in comparison to the guy who we're talking about got benched in the third.
Yeah, and it's we can't sit it Mish didn't play in the third, and obviously...
Well, that's because he is a dumb coach.
Yes, honestly,
not his fault.
Cutter could have not played in the third, and no one would have known the difference.
Exactly.
So at least we have that going for us. There were some positive things, and listen, the Mish thing is the story, and we have endless time to talk about that because this is our show. That's what we mostly talk about, Matvei Michkov.
Yeah.
Something I want to address, though. This is the sharpest Sam Ersson has looked since before the injury.
Oh, yeah.
Very good tonight.
Shut us right up.
This was...
His final line, stopped 32 of 33, gave up the 1 goal.
There were 2 really good developments of this game, but the Ersson one is the bigger and more important of the 2 because the other development, which we'll get into, is more of a continuation. This was a pivot. Sam Ersson, as we noted, going into pregame, into this game, we had a debate on whether he is even any good at all. I'm not saying this game redeems him, but it's at least a step back in the direction of maybe he can right the ship. 1 game
doesn't prove anything.
No.
What I will say is while I was the one who posed the topic and was I don't know, maybe he's just not very good in pregame, what I will say, if this is the beginning of a trend here, this is the best he's looked since the injury.
Yes.
The initial injury.
Yes.
And they've been keeping the 3 goalies. And when pressed about why they're keeping 3 goalies, when it's yeah, man, Kolosov's 2, and we've kind of, I don't know about written off Fedotov, but he's the number 3. Why hasn't he been waived, sent to the minors so he can play? Well, we're not totally convinced Ersson is still injured, but we're not totally convinced he's not going to get re-injured.
Yeah.
I don't think it's maybe a coincidence based on that information they told us out loud. Well, they just had the Christmas break. They had 5 days off, and now he looks good again. Listen, maybe I doubt it's him tomorrow. It's a back-to-back. But maybe he comes out and sucks in his next start, whatever that is. Maybe not a coincidence, though. Maybe he's actually finally healthy.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, listen, I don't know.
I don't know how much I buy it.
I don't know.
I understand where you're coming from because it would give you an easy way to kind of write off the 2-3 weeks of him playing terribly. It's like, he was just injured. That
would make it better.
It's a possibility. Yeah. I don't know if I believe it either. Yeah. I'm just, if this is, and then he's good from here, maybe not injured, but hurt or working his way back, whatever it was, because we saw him last season kind of take on that, I'm just going to play. And when you see what Fedotov and Kolosov are doing out there, at least by the numbers, Kolosov, I think, has played better than his numbers, but they are. He's giving up like 4.5 goals a game. If you are the de facto, at least number one, you want to get out there and try to right the ship, even if you're not all the way back. Perhaps that's what this was. Now, maybe he needs more than one game.
Yes.
Anyone can have one good game.
Yes.
We've seen lots of goalies have one good game. Rob Zepp had a good game. Michael Leighton had a whole bunch of good games. It takes more than this. But if we see a month of mostly solid Sam Ersson, that will make me willing to go, okay, I think I can explain that dip. That's all.
Yeah. Go ahead, Charlie.
No, it would be the easiest way to explain it in a way that isn't, he's just not very good.
Yeah.
But to me, this struck me as more, you give him a chance to give a little mental reset. He gets a few days off, a chance to stop this from snowballing, which he has shown in the past. He has propensity to let things snowball on him when, not even talking in games, I'm talking stretches of the season where one bad game turns into 6. He showed that happens to him. That happened to him at the end of last season. It seemed like it might have been happening to him over these past few weeks. Get a little bit of a break, chance to clear your head. And he came out, and I thought he was very good in this game.
Yeah,
this was not even a, they didn't get that many quality chances. They had some quality chances. He made some really big, tough saves in this game.
He did. Some shorthanded chances that they had on rushes.
Yep.
The penalty kill looked good for the first time in a while. I think I need to present the whole picture. Anaheim is 32nd in goals per game. 2.42 goals a game.
To be fair.
Dead last.
Okay. But here's the thing.
They don't score.
No, I don't think any of us would have been surprised if Sam Ersson came out and played a total clunker of a game. I don't think anyone would have been shocked by it. So the fact that he didn't does leave me cautiously optimistic. Maybe he did need, maybe it's good that he got to ease in after the break, against a crappy team that doesn't score a lot of goals. Okay. So he's not facing a bunch of snipers.
That's a good point.
So he gets to make some good saves, some solid saves. He's in position. He makes the saves that he needs to make. There was none of those goals where it's could have had that one. This is a game you can build off of. Now, if he comes out in the next game and is crappy again, all right, we got a problem. But if he's able to build off of this, then, maybe it'll be him turning things around a little bit.
And the big thing, too, is that, you mentioned that, yes, this might not have been the toughest competition, but a good game is better than a bad game.
Yes.
That's a very true point in the sense of if he would have played poorly. We can say that, one game, good that he had the good one game. It doesn't mean that he's fixed. It doesn't mean that he's a great goalie. That is all true. However, if he would have had a bad game, then it would have been even more evidence that he's not the guy.
Kolosov number 1, maybe Fedotov number 2. That's what we're saying today.
That's definitely what you're
saying. Yeah.
The fact that he had this game, it at least sets him up to change the narrative. Now, he's not done. He's got to have he's got to have 10 more really good games to get people back on his side as being a potential number 1 option for this team. But it at least puts him in position where that's a possibility. Whereas leading into the break, I think a lot of people were getting to the point where they were out on Sam Ersson. I was talking to both of you guys on pregame, and both of you seemed like you were getting to the point where you were out on Sam Ersson.
This is what I do best, Charlie. I flip-flop instantly. When presented with new evidence, I will change my mind.
I've always wanted to see him get the chance. I just don't know what that chance results in. Still want to see. If he sucked today, I'd say still give him the chance.
Yeah, keep throwing him out there.
I want him to be good.
And like we said, if he sucks, well, what do the Flyers need? Talent. What's a great way to get it? By drafting it. What's a great way to lose games? Bad
Bad
goaltending. Like it all, like it's kind of a win-win for the Flyers. They either have a good goalie or they're going to draft in the top 10.
Yeah.
Like it's one or the other here. Before we go any further, though, I got to tell you about TrueMark Financial Credit Union.
Hey.
The new year is upon us, and one of the things I bet a lot of people are going to be making resolutions about, financial responsibility. Well, you want to instill that, take it from me, you want to instill that in your kids as soon as possible. And if you've got kids, TrueMark has the ultimate playbook for teaching financial responsibility with a free Greenlight account. The Greenlight app is changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. They can set up savings goals, track their spending, and even get an allowance all right there in the Greenlight app. And the really cool part, each kid gets their own debit card so they can make purchases and learn real-world money skills while you stay in control from your phone. You get peace of mind, and they get the freedom to make smart decisions with their money. It's like coaching your kids through their very own financial game. And for TrueMark Financial members, it's free. With the holidays right around the corner, they're here. Now is the perfect time to introduce your kids to Greenlight. Get signed up today. Visit TrueMark.com/Greenlight for more information. And while we're here, got to talk to you about Glatt Hair Restoration. That's right, because Glatt Hair Restoration is now under the direction of the Morgenstern Medical Group. Dr. Morgenstern is a world-renowned plastic surgeon, and they have revolutionized hair restoration with Glatt Hair. You think, oh, well, it's a little different now. It's a different guy. No, under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern, you still get the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, same state-of-the-art location, and same stellar results. Whether you need laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatment, vitamin supplementation, topical or oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, and hair restoration surgery. They do it all because each patient, no one's in the same stage of hair loss. No one's hair is exactly the same. They have a treatment for you. So check it out. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started today. Yeah, the goalie thing, Michkov is the number one story of the season, right? That's what the season's all about. Development of certain guys like Jamie Drysdale, that's going to take some time. Is goalie the number two thing this year? Like, we might not get an answer because maybe the answer is we find out 3 years from now it's Bjarnason or Zvragin or whatever. But based on the players that they have currently, that's number two, right?
Absolutely. There's not really anything else going on with this team.
The reason why it's important. It's 100% important to figure out what the goalie plan is. The reason why it is not make or break essential is because they have other guys coming. It is important for them to figure out what Sam Ersson is. It's important for them to, in my mind, keep Alexei Kolosov happy, to keep him as part of a potential solution in goal. But they do have Carson Bjarnason turning pro at the end of this season, and they do have Igor Zvragin coming in a couple years. Both of those guys are already in the system and could be a solution. So, yes, it is important to figure out what Sam Ersson is, but if it's not him, it's not like they're screwed in the way that, like, if Michkov is just a 45-point-a-year guy, they are screwed.
I was like, it's important, the development of Michkov and everything. If he's not the guy, if he's not going to be like the best player on this team, Hart Trophy votes, this thing ain't going to work.
Exactly.
There's still plenty of opportunities for this team to find a goalie, but you have these guys here. Finding out about them, huge part of this season. Like that's the difference in terms of like what the 1 and 2 stories are. But it's still damn important. Like,
it's important.
What were we saying during the game tonight?
Goaltending is so important.
It's the only thing that matters.
As Kelly says.
As Charlie and I were talking during the game, and I actually said, so actually Kelly's the number one analyst on the show.
I mean, not wrong.
Many people are saying.
Like,
no one is saying
the Flyers are probably worse record-wise than their talent play level because the goaltending has sucked for most of the season.
Yeah.
And then you see the opposite, like,
Last year was probably the opposite.
Flyers and Ducks in the same spot in the standings, basically. Ducks better in the standings than they should be because their goaltending has held up for a lot of the year.
Lucas Drysdale,
and like, that's the difference.
Enter this game with a 915 save percentage. This Ducks team is horrible. They're
very bad.
really bad, and the only reason why they are in the standings merely bad is because their starting goalie is doing a Vezina goalie impression.
Yeah.
Lucky them.
Another pretty interesting development of the last, I think Bush said 10 games on the broadcast. I'll give them that.
Yeah,
sure.
I'll give them that.
I don't want to check the game log.
I'll give him
Noah Cates and his line mates, Tyson Forster and Bobby Brink. Noah Cates is now on a 6-game goal streak.
5.
It's 5?
5 games.
Does that include?
It does. 5 games.
Okay.
It was 4 straight. Now it's 5 straight.
I thought, okay, sure.
But he does. He has 6 goals in his last 8 games.
6.
Okay.
6 in his last 8.
Let's pretend I said that to start.
Cool.
We're on remote. I didn't do a ton of research for postgame today. Here at Heroes, this place rules, by the way.
It's a great place.
Heroes in Glen Mills. There's a golden tee. There was like a group of
There's
dudes.
a claw machine.
There are 2 pool tables and a shuffleboard. Like, I swear to you,
this is a dope bar.
If this place wasn't 45 minutes away from where I live, I would be here a lot, watching football games and drinking.
I want to do more events here. I know
Great
we
bartenders.
spread them around, but
great bartenders, great space, claw machine, golf game.
Like
the food was actually legitimately good.
Yeah.
Like, this is a great place.
Tots are solid. I got a Caesar salad. It was good.
Nice.
Charlie's sitting here
eating a salad.
This week doesn't even exist.
It's
not a real week.
And
Charlie's sitting here eating a salad.
I'm trying to get a head start on my New Year's resolution.
No, this week is fake. This is the week for junk foods.
No.
Anyway,
that's what I'm telling myself, Charlie. Don't shame me.
This third line, I guess we can call it now because it's Noah Cates centered, but 5-game goal streak for Noah Cates. Tyson Forster looks good. Bobby Brink has an assist in 3 of the last 4 games. They seem to have found something. Listen, everyone goes through hot streaks. I doubt that Noah Cates is a 40-goal scorer like he looks like right now. Yeah,
unlikely.
I seriously.
Hey, it'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool, but this is so would a lot of things. This looks like they've really found something with at least 2 of 3 guys who I thought their long-term futures with this franchise were at best up in the air.
Question marks, yeah.
I don't really know, like, Bobby Brink has to score.
Yeah, he does.
If he's not producing, whether it's on the power play, 5-on-5, I mean, no one produces on the power play. But he has to put up numbers for you to keep him in a lineup, even a third-line role. Noah Cates, we've really just struggled to define what his role is. Is he a 4th liner? Is he a better left winger? What is his position? Yeah, what is his position, let alone place in the lineup after that? And Tyson Forster, we have high hopes for, but we've seen him be hot. We've seen him be cold. He's a developing young first-round pick. They really have something here.
Yeah.
It appears this line spends a ton of time in the offensive zone. They score a lot. They're finding themselves on the score sheet quite a bit. I am very encouraged by, listen, yes, the Flyers have a ton of ancillary pieces, and it's like, well, what are they missing? 1C, 1D, 1G. Yeah, all the stuff that's the hardest stuff to find. But they seem to have some things really well put together for when they eventually find those things.
Yeah, we were talking about it during the game. Our 3rd and 4th lines are legitimately very good 3rd and 4th lines. We're good there. Top 6, who can say?
True.
But we are set on the bottom. And I mean, that's better than not being set.
Paling, Lawton, whoever on a 4th line, great. I like Hathaway, but he's like 30.
Yeah, he's older. He's not going to be around for forever.
This is a third line.
This 3rd line slaps.
Looks pretty good.
They have some makings of a top 6. TK, Mish, Tippett, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to not be rooting for this 3rd line, like kind of a misfits line.
To me, like, out of these guys, the guy I am now the most intrigued by, just in terms of what this means for him and his future, is Noah Cates. Because with Brink, look,
we'll see.
Look, here's the thing. Brink has been playing well. He's producing points. My eye test watching that line tells me he is the least consequential of the 3. That he is doing the fewest things. Now, he's doing important things in terms of creating goals, but I see Cates and Forrester doing more of the other stuff that gives this line the ability to have the puck as often as they do.
And that's what, like, I don't disagree with anything you said. I just think that's what Bobby Brink needs.
Fair.
You need someone to do the forechecking And he has been doing a much better job.
He's looked much more physical, much more engaged. And he's winning more battles. You're right.
He's improved. But without his creativity, his passing, his ability to set up things, this line isn't scoring the way they are.
I agree.
And that's what's keeping them together. Like, we have Mish benched. We have Lawton on the first line. Like, they're doing everything they can with the 3 other lines. Joel Farabee started on the 4th line tonight. They're leaving this one alone. Yeah. And I do think it's a combination of these 3 skill sets. Like, is Bobby Brink ever going to be good defensively? No.
Probably not.
So what do? You get him out there with maybe your best checking center at this point, and the good two-way player we think Tyson Forster is, and they do all the other stuff, and Brink can use his creativity to benefit them in the offensive zone. But yeah, Noah Cates is driving this.
I guess I'm not there yet with Brink, and I like him. I'm not there. To me, I watch this line, and my 2 primary takeaways from this line are, number 1, Tyson Forster is the guy who I thought he was going into the season before he had the 3 weeks where he just was completely ineffective. That makes me feel good because it's like, okay, I wasn't wrong about that one. He's good. Sweet. We don't have to worry. We can still have to debate about what his ultimate ceiling is. We don't have to worry that last year was a total mirage. So I'm like, great. Forster's doing a lot of things. I'm liking that. And then I watched Noah Cates, and I'm like, yeah, look, Brink's making plays. He's been good. But I have in the back of my head, like, well, if he's doing that with Bobby Brink, what if you gave him Travis Konechny? And that's when I start getting intrigued. Because
see Noah Cates
to
again?
me, Noah Cates is showing something over these 2 weeks of games where I start to wonder, maybe he's getting back what made him so intriguing in his rookie season when he was functional in the team's 1C.
Yeah.
That is exciting. Now, I don't think Noah Cates is going to be an impact point per game guy. I think if there was any chance, I think that ship has sailed. But I am starting to wonder again, could he be a 45, 50-point guy with incredible underlying metrics and then truly be a, JV Sean Couturier? Prime Sean Couturier.
Yes.
That's very intriguing to me.
It's funny because I came up to you at one point in the game after Noah Cates scores. And I'm just like, Charlie, I know we say he's better on the wing, but is he their best center right now? And
he is their best center right now.
Is he better on the wing?
Is he actually a center, maybe?
He might actually be a center. And he's a guy who I just didn't know where he fit. And the way he's playing right now, again, I don't expect him to score every single game because that's insane.
Yeah.
But the way he's playing right now.
Maybe.
You know what? The way the luck has worked for this team, maybe it's just like, and Noah Cates is a star. Maybe.
50-50, Bill. It either happens or it doesn't. Either Noah Cates scores a goal per game for the rest of his career or he doesn't.
Why wouldn't he?
Who's to say how it's going to go?
Who's going to stop him?
I'm just very, very intrigued, and I can't believe it, but I want to see more Noah Cates. Want to see how this line keeps functioning. Want to see if this trio can keep it together. And as much as I like the other two, I do think it's Noah Cates driving this thing now.
That's where I'm at.
Is.
I think he is the driver of this line. I mean, the center usually is. But
I think you can just eye test watching the line. You can see that he's the guy driving it.
The center,
he's everywhere.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
And that's the issue with this team, Charlie, is the center usually is, but not in the top 6.
Fair.
That's the thing.
Point.
It's like our best players in the top 6 are Owen Tippett, TK, and Matvei Michkov.
Yeah.
And if those guys
none of them are doing anything at the moment.
Well, Tippett was. He just didn't have that game today. But he's been good.
And he had some moments.
He made that one play where he cut to the net again.
The one power move that I want to see him do more of. Do that more, Owen Tippett. That's how he becomes a 35-40 goal scorer rather than a 25-30 goal scorer.
Charlie, let's hit 3 stars and then talk about Morgan Frost.
Ooh, 3
let's
stars.
Hit Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Hit us,
Charlie,
with star number 3.
Star number 3. You know who I'm going to give star number 3 to? I'm going to give it to Joel Farabee.
Hey!
In honor of his new haircut. But in all seriousness, I give him a lot of credit because, number 1, he's been struggling. He obviously tried to change things up with the haircut. That's what guys do. But he started out this game on the 4th line. He started out this game as a 4th liner, and he could have sulked. He's coming off a stretch where he hasn't been scoring. He had a lot of minuses to his credit going into the break. He could have wallowed in the fact that he's coming out of the break on the 4th line. And what did he do? He played well. He made plays. He had a couple really nice passes that didn't get finished. Then 3rd period rolls around, gets bumped up. Now he's in the top 9. And then, at the key moment of the game...
Serves the too many men.
Serves it, because that's his role. He is the designated penalty box sitter.
Not a PK guy.
Not a PK guy. He's in the penalty box. He comes out, does the exact thing he has to do, which is basically pounce on the defenseman who is unaware that he is behind him, scores the game-clinching goal. Joel Farabee, I think, was good all game, but he was in position where it wouldn't have shocked me if he was terrible. And instead, he played well and then makes the big play at the key moment. Props to you, Joel Farabee, 3rd star.
All right, hit us with star number 2.
Star number 2, I'm going to go with one Noah Cates. We just talked about him. You know why he's getting this this honor. He had a really good game.
Really good.
That line continues to be the Flyers' best line. As Kelly said, he's been everywhere. Which is especially impressive given the fact that he's not a great skater. So for him to be everywhere, he has to be thinking at such a high level to make sure he's everywhere. And that's always been his strength, but his weakness has always been the fact that he is, quite frankly, he's NHL slow.
Yes.
He's not slow in terms of, like, the average human being.
He'd whoop my ass in a race.
Yeah,
but
obviously.
Because he's a professional athlete.
But NHL-wise, he is a below-average foot speed skater. So the fact that he is popping up as often as he is speaks to just how well he's seeing the ice and just how well he's feeling out there. Noah Cates, 5 straight games with the goal. Easy 2nd star.
I just got to say, time is a flat circle, Charlie.
Time is a flat circle.
There was a time where we were...
Again.
There was a time where we were discussing Sean Couturier. He's got this great IQ. He's really good as a two-way player. I don't know what his offensive upside is. Where does he fit in the lineup? Here we are 10 years later.
Baby,
and we're doing it with Noah Cates.
Doing it with Noah Cates.
Nothing. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Everything's fake.
Now, star number 1.
Star number 1, Sam Ersson. 31 saves on 32 shots. I'm not saying that this means he's fixed. I'm not saying that now he's going to go on a run and look like the guy from last November and last December. We don't know yet. We truly do not know. But this was a real good start. And he was the biggest, as Kelly has said, it's all goaltending, okay? It's all goaltending. And in this game, Sam Ersson was the biggest reason. Not to say that Drysdale didn't play well. He had 22 saves on 24 shots. That's a .917 save percentage. Ersson was better. Yeah, and they won because Ersson was better.
It's not like one of those, well, Olmark was just the worst guy on the ice. This was, we just had a plus goaltender today. Yeah. That's what it came down to.
Or I would say both teams had a plus goaltender. Yeah. The Flyers had a plus goaltender tonight. Now we see if he can sustain it. He's obviously not going to play on Sunday, but I would assume he'll play on New Year's Eve against the Sharks, and we'll see if he can run with this.
All right, before we get to Super Chats, we got to talk Morgan Frost for a second.
He had a sick goal by accident, but I'll take it.
I mean, it was a goal. He scored a goal.
It's just funny that
I'm going to pretend he did it on purpose.
Misha's designated center for most of the season. Somebody finally scored an off-angle goal, and it wasn't Misha. It was that guy.
It was him. Totally on purpose.
Scored in the 3rd to put the Flyers up 2-1. The game-winning goal for Morgan Frost. He has 3 goals in his last 3 games. You remember before the break, prior to that Pittsburgh game, he had 2 against Columbus. And I just saw the Jordan Hall tweet. He says, Morgan Frost has 6 points in his last 8 games. Is this just classic Morgan Frost? Like, this is what he does.
I truly did not realize he had many points.
I had no idea, honestly, until I saw the tweet.
This always happens.
Yep.
I was saying
perfect time of year.
Last 55 games, baby. Let's go.
It's what he does.
The other day.
It's what he does.
It's what he does.
It's just what Morgan Frost does.
It's Morgan Frost, man. It's unbelievable.
What's the line from Wedding Crashers? Crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does. Healthy scratches and second-half surges. That's what Morgan Frost does.
Morgan Frost is going to finish the year with 40-some points, and we're all going to go, wow, that's like a decent 3-6. You know?
And then we'll do it all over.
And we will do this all over again, baby. All right.
Wait. Before we get to Super Chats.
What's up?
I would like to say happy birthday to PHLY's and Broad Street Hockey's Maddie Campbell.
Hey, happy birthday, Maddie.
Happy birthday, Maddie.
Maddie, I definitely want to have Maddie on in the new year to talk some Phantoms and stuff. Awesome. You should read her Phantoms reports on allphly.com.
Oh, definitely do that. For diehards only.
Sign up to be a diehard. Maddie's great. She also writes for Broad Street Hockey. Check her out there.
She runs Broad Street Hockey.
Maddie rules.
One thing that's very funny about it actually being Maddie's birthday, so there has been a running joke for like at least 5 years, if not longer,
she's been there?
in the BSH Slack that every day is Maddie's birthday.
Yeah.
So when you said that at first, I'm like, is it actually your birthday? No, this is a real birthday.
We always miss her birthday because every day is her birthday in the Slack chat. And then it's like, oh, no, wait, it's actually her birthday.
And she has the unfortunate luck of having a birthday in a week that doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's a fake week.
All right, let's hit those super chats.
What we got?
All right, first one from R. Park. Kate's 27, 5 goals and 5
He
goals
is, in
in
fact,
5 games.
on fire.
He's been on fire, man. There's really no other way to put it.
Good.
Kelly, do you think this is Richard Park, Phantoms legend?
It's got to be
Right?
Richard Park.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't Richard Park be a fan of the show?
And have a Ron Hextall. Who is that Ron Hextall?
It looks like a 27.
That's Ron Hextall.
It looks like 27.
Definitely Richard Park.
I love the old brown pads, the
They're
actual
good.
They're
waffle
pretty cool.
board
They're real good.
blocker
They're
pretty
back
cool.
when it was a waffle board.
Not wrong.
Kate's is. Listen, he's taken a lot of, like, we've had the conversation a lot. Like, do you need a Kate's appealing in a Lawton? And he's separating himself right now.
Yes,
listen, I love Scott Lawton. I've come to grips with the fact he's never going to be traded. He can be a fourth liner forever. Dope.
Whatever.
Noah Cates is separating himself, distinguishing himself as an actual potential part of the future.
Can he be more than that? This version can. Now we see if he can sustain it. Or if
Sustain
it's just
it,
a hot
baby.
streak.
Now be good. Be good for a while. I'm willing to give. I am now willing to give Cates. Last year, he had that injury. He missed
was a weird season.
6 weeks. He had to restart. He's on the fourth line a lot. And listen, no disrespect to the fourth liners. They're good fourth liners. What can we expect production-wise when you're getting 8 minutes with some of those guys that never score?
That's a fair point.
He's got consistency. He's hot right now. Again, he's not going to be a 40-goal scorer, but let's see him keep it up. And he can really distinguish himself as a dude that we want to plug in as the 3C in the future.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit this next one from
Timbo
Slice. Chatting live from Anaheim. Let's effing go
Timbo.
Flyers. Why not us? We made that game a home game.
Thank
Boo,
you for
quitter.
your service.
There were certainly
You did great.
And I believe it was Timbo who hit us up on Twitter to ask if we could hear the booing.
We could.
We absolutely could.
It was audible.
And we could hear a Let's Go Flyers chant as well.
JJ pointed out on the
done.
broadcast several times, Flyers fans well represented out in Disney during
Loved
the Disney
it.
on Ice road trip. So I'm glad people went there and made that game that Cutter circled one he won't forget, certainly.
Agreed.
Even though it was a forgettable performance from number 61.
All right, what do we got?
Let's hit this next
We
one.
got more.
From Vince, of
He
course.
got home. Vince got home.
Vince,
Our boss
Vince.
Vince. Our boss Vince.
Why not us? I won't even argue with it because
he was at the event, but he left and he got home. He
Oh,
got
wedding
home in
ring on
enough
that
time. Home in enough time to send the super chat. Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Vince, and
Thank
thank
you,
you
Vince,
for
you're the
our
best.
newest set piece here that I will definitely be taking home with me.
You have to for safekeeping.
Who else is going to do it?
You're like the keeper of the cup.
Yeah. This is my job now.
Yeah, the belt
Should I
has to
get
stand
white
with you at all
gloves?
times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just always have the gloves.
Yes. Always have the gloves and that you must be with the belt at all times.
All right, another one here from Timbo, also going to LA and San Jose.
Timbo's
Can't
following the
wait
team
to
around.
chat
Heck
and
yeah,
post
Timbo.
games.
Love
Hell
that,
yes,
Timbo.
I want live reports, the crowd, number of Flyers fans there, the ridiculous stuff you did. I want to hear about all of it from this road trip. You're following the team. That's outstanding. Charlie's here with us, so we need boots on the ground, and we're glad Timbo Slice is coming up for us. That's outstanding.
We
Was
love
that
it.
it, Bryn? Those four?
That's it
All
for
right.
super chats.
That was it for the Super Chats, and that's pretty much it for us. This has been the PHLY Flyers postgame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Couple of things coming up that we absolutely have to tell you about. The most important of which, if you thought the atmosphere was nice and hostile, even in Anaheim today for Cutter, you are going to want to be a part of our sweet takeover
Get those
Saturday,
last 2
January
tickets.
11th. 2 tickets remaining. Go to allphly.com. Hit that events tab. First thing right there is going to be our sweet takeover. It's less than it's about 2 weeks away at this point. You are going to want to be there to boo Cutter Gauthier. This is Philly, man. Listen, winning, all that stuff, it's a ton of fun. Some of my best moments are Booing JD Drew.
Exactly.
Booing Scott Rowland.
I am not going
Booing
to be
people who
the
have
best
wronged
version of
us.
myself. Exactly.
Getting the revenge of yelling boo as loud as I can at a guy I don't like for reasons that are beyond comprehension.
Exactly.
Cutter Gauthier. Maybe he's just 20 and doesn't know what he did. But I'll never forget it. I am a grown man who can't wait to boo this child.
Exactly.
And you should join us.
Yes.
AllPHLY.com. All right, that'll do it for us. Thank you to everyone who watched on TV. Make sure you go to AllPHLY.com for all of our shows available there, and all of Charlie's writing. Become a diehard, all that stuff.
Do it.
All right. Follow us right here on the YouTube page. Hit that subscribe button. Set the reminder bell so you never miss a live show. We'll have pre- and post-game for you tomorrow for the Kings game. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers, where I do all my in-game tweeting. And follow the podcast. Wherever you get those, just search PHLY Flyers. My name is Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. That's Kelly Hinkle. Until next time, let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.